welcome, grade 11s. I hope you've been waiting anxiously. Now, a little bit tells me that you have been waiting for the show to start, and I know you're excited as much as I am. And to be helped, and what are we doing today? We are doing Life Sciences grade 11. And a person to be helping us out today is Lou. Lou, how are you?
All right, yourself, you're keeping well.
I'm keeping well. And before we continue with the show, guys, we'd like to say thanks to Macmillan for sponsoring the show, and we'll be referring to this book during the show. And to continue with the show, guys, let's give it back to Lou.
How's it, guys? Hope you're all doing nicely. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly start off something because I need to get things going, and then we'll go to the board and we'll come back and we'll carry on with an experiment. Experiments are quite cool. So, before we go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring out a couple of things. First of all, I've got them all down here. Gas burner, we're going to need that, right? There we go. How do we get that going? Gas. Definitely going to bra, right? Definitely going to bra. Okay, so we've got that. We've got this thing, which is called a retort stand, right? We do that for a reason. We put it underneath so that we can put the Bunsen burner underneath it, and we can actually heat things up, right? Okay? I'm going to get that, which is your wire gauze. You put it on top so you don't burn your beakers in that, okay? This is just plain water. Trust me, plain water, okay? And I'm going to cheat because I need it to speed up a bit, okay? So what I'm going to do is let's join this up, okay? As soon as I get it in there, come on, that's the way to do it. In you go, nice and tight, okay? I'm going to move this across. I'm going to speed it up, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this thing so we can just lift it slightly so that it's a little bit closer to the flame. Yes, you all with me? I'm going to get hold of the key. I'm going to light it. Come on. I tightened this so hard last time. Come on. It's got to be here. There we go. Okay, now, as you can see, the flame is going there. All I want to do is get that water to boil. You can see it starting to steam already. Right, okay, so I'm going to put that aside. And we all know what these are. They're leaves. I need to boil them in water. So I'm going to chuck them in there. Make sure that they get nice and wet. That's it. And I'm going to leave it at that. Now we're going to go to the board. Okay, so if you follow me, and we go over here, photosynthesis pracs. Right, so if we go to the photosynthesis pracs, it's very important we understand why we're doing photosynthesis pracs. Right, so let's recap quickly on photosynthesis, okay, and then we'll take it further. Okay, in here we're going to look at the different levels of photosynthesis, what we do in photosynthesis, why we're testing, which is the most important. And remember, this is where we actually learn how to do the experiments. If you haven't done it before, have a good look, right? I'm trying to get them as interesting as possible, okay, and they're going to ask you on these. There's one prac in particular they're going to ask, so make sure that you know it very well. Right, okay. Let me get on to the next one. Okay, the process of photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Photo means light, and synthesis we're going to make. Right, so we are going to make food from light, because that's what plants do. They take the light. They're the only things on earth that can actually make food. We buy food, and then we cook it, yes, but we don't make food. They make the food. Right, so what we're going to do is they come along, okay, once they're with us, they take all the sunlight, they take it into the leaves, they capture all that energy, right? They take the water from the ground, am I right? Water is very, very important. They take carbon dioxide, all this stuff, you know, that I'm speaking to you now, the air that's coming out of my mouth, that's carbon dioxide. They take that carbon dioxide, they take it into their body, into their leaves, right? They go through the light phase, which is that. It takes the energy, breaks down the water, and they make ATP, if you can remember quite nicely. And then they release oxygen for us to breathe again. Okay, so let's have a look at it. It's over there. Let's get that going. Yeah, somewhere as soon as I get it. There we go. So we take water. If I can just get a pen going here. There we go. We take water, which is H2O. Okay. They take carbon dioxide, which is CO2. Okay. And they make the most important thing over here, sugar. Okay. They make the sugar. And the sugar is the most important thing out. Okay? With that sugar, we can do everything. Okay? Now, photosynthesis is an anabolic process. Okay, let's find out. What does anabolic mean?
Anabolic. Oh man, I did that a long time ago. I'm gonna lie to you if I'm gonna say
You're gonna pass it on. Okay.
Okay.
Now you get two processes. You get anabolic and catabolic. Okay. Anabolic, you will normally hear with these guys with the steroids, right? They take anabolic steroids. So let's try again. Do you think you know what it means?
Yes, I think it's building up of.
That's it. Anabolic is building up. What do you think catabolic is?
Catabolic is the breaking down.
That's nice. That's brilliant.
Yes.
Anabolic building up, catabolic breaking down. Right, so that's what we're going to do. It's an anabolic thing, right? And the whole point of photosynthesis, right, is to make food, to build it up. Okay, so it's an anabolic system. Okay, cool. So let's carry on going down. This is the whole process. The whole process. This is the little structures that you need. Okay, so I know that pink works nice on white. Okay, so let's go for it. You have water and carbon dioxide. I mentioned that in the beginning. Remember, water and carbon dioxide, very, very, very important. Okay, you've got water and carbon dioxide. What does the plant have? Why is it green? Can you remember? It's green because it's got chloroplast inside. And what do we find inside chloroplast? We could get chlorophyll. Now that's what gives it the green color. The chlorophyll, there it is. The chlorophyll actually traps the light, okay? The energy. Where do we get the light from? The sun. So there's light. Very nice. And we've got enzymes. Now, enzymes are ADP. Can you remember what that is? Adenosine diphosphate. We add a phosphate in, becomes triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate. So we need the enzymes. There it is. And we end up with glucose. Now, glucose is cool, right, for some of us. Glucose, why I say for some of us, glucose over here. Glucose is cool for some of us because some of us need insulin to break it down, and we don't make insulin. Okay, so they're diabetic. So they need to stay away as much as possible from that. They can have it, but then they've got to quickly have some insulin injections. Right, so they create glucose, and then they release oxygen. Now, I want you to remember that very, very carefully. They get oxygen. They give off oxygen in the air. Now, the reason why I say remember oxygen, because that is one of the tests. We have to do that just now. One of the tests is very, very simple, okay? It's to prove that oxygen is produced during photosynthesis. Okay, now, if I have a look at it here, they can ask you to write it like this. They want it in the chemical formula, or how do they say it, where you can see the letters instead of the whole words. I can't remember the right name right now for some reason. But here we go. Watch carefully. Water is H2O. Okay? There are 6 of them because we need to balance equations. People who do science will understand that very carefully because whatever you put in is what you get out. Now, with this process, we know what we get out, and glucose is C6H12O6. Okay? That is what we get out. So to be able to make a glucose molecule, we need to put 6 molecules of water in, right? Then we need to take 6 carbon dioxide molecules, CO2. There we go. CO2 is carbon dioxide, okay? Then we've got the light, the chlorophyll, the enzymes, and we end up with 6 carbons, 12 hydrogens, and 6 oxygens, making it glucose, right? And what do we give off? 6 oxygen molecules. 6. It's quite important. Now, if I ask you, it's very, very simple. If I asked you, we have a lot of sugar, okay, and we take in the sugar, okay, and we store it. What do we store it as? That's a quick question for you. See if you can answer it for me, okay? I'll ask for it later. I want to know what we store it as. But we store it. It's not fat. So remember that very carefully. It's not this that I've got around my tummy here, right? It's not fat. We need to know what we store it as. And the minute we store it, okay, we can test for that. Now, plants also store something, okay? They store things called starch. So how do we know photosynthesis takes place? They store it somewhere. They store it in the leaf. Okay, so they store it as starch. So when we need to test if photosynthesis has taken place, what do we test for? Can you tell me what we test for?
I think the evaporation of carbon dioxide, if I'm not lying.
No, we're looking at how starch is made. If it's got starch. If it's got starch, it's done photosynthesis. If it doesn't have starch, it doesn't. Okay, so there we go. Let's have a look. What do we have next for you? Okay, the starch test. Now, everything we do with the starch test. Okay, so let's have a look. What do we have? What do we need, should I say? What do we need? Okay, we need a beaker. Okay, there it is. A beaker containing water. Now remember, in the beginning, I started off with something. A beaker containing water. Okay, we need a tripod stand and wire gauze. Remember, I put that big tripod thing out, right? And I put that wire gauze on top, and then I put the beaker on top. Can you remember that? We'll get back in a few minutes, right? We need a Bunsen burner or a spirit burner. I put out a Bunsen burner, okay? And if you don't know what a spirit burner is, I'm going to show you as well. I brought one just to show you because I'm feeling nice. Right, nice. Then you need a test tube containing methylated spirits or alcohol. It's fine, okay? You need forceps to hold certain things, yes? You need a white towel. We're not going to use a white towel. I brought some plastic to put it on so that you can see it quite nicely, right? Yes, you need iodine, because what does iodine actually do, right? Iodine makes you see where starch is. It goes blue-black color when it's with starch, right? And then you need a dropper or a pipette. I just bought a dropper. Why do you think we need a dropper, right? We've got to pick the iodine up with something, and it stains your fingers. Okay, so let's have a look what I have here for you. Let me just get there. There we go. Look, can you remember? I took a leaf, yes, I put it inside of a beaker, on top of a tripod stand, tripod meaning 3 legs. We have a Bunsen burner, okay, and we are waiting. Forget about the next picture. We're just doing that. Okay, so let's go have a look how it's doing quickly before we come back. Just 2 minutes. Okay, so here we are. Right, nice and simple. Can you see it's boiling? Can you see what color this whole system's going? Okay, now it is going nice and green, but do you know why we actually do this? Okay, it's very important. If we don't do this step, the whole step is not going to help us. Right, so I'm going to let it boil a bit more. I want to get you a couple of things. So I've got forceps. Remember, what does forceps hold? Okay, it grabs hold of one of these things. I've got you somewhere. Let me see. I know I have one here somewhere. There we go. Ha! Test tube. Okay, holds a test tube. I'm going to put the test tube over here. Hopefully it doesn't roll away. Okay, I've got a thing called a spirit burner so that you can see what it looks like. And the spirit burner burns quite nicely. There it goes. Right. It burns quite nicely and quite easy. But look at the flame difference, right? If you can see the flame difference, look at it. That's why I took this one. It burns nice and quickly. Okay, so let me kill that. There we go. Then, methylated spirits. It's a purple liquid, okay? It burns if you put it on open wounds, okay? This catches fire quite easily. So you must be very careful with the open flame and methylated spirits, right? Okay, then I've got something to remove the leaf out of the hot water, okay, because I ain't sticking my fingers in there, okay, it'll cook. Right, cool. And then I've got, let's see, iodine, right? I've got iodine. I have got methylated spirits inside a big test tube, right? Then I've cheated. I've brought another beaker, and in that beaker, I just want to put the methylated spirits so it doesn't fall over, okay? Then I've got my little dropper. And lastly, you normally get glowing splints, but I thought I'd go a little bit easy on you guys. And I went outside, and I picked up 2 pieces of sticks. Right, just plain, simple sticks. Now, what I'm going to do with this at the end, okay, just to demonstrate, I'm going to light it. Right, just going to give it a bit of flame there, give it a bit of smoke, and we're going to test something with it, because we need to know how to test oxygen, okay, for later on. So, what else do I have? That's it. And then, of course, I got a spare leaf to show you what it started off with. Right, okay, so let's have a look. Okay, I'm going to turn this off. Okay, let's turn this off. Let's have a look. Okay, it's looking a little bit flaccid and soft. It's looking a little bit better. You need to boil this for as long as possible. I think I can leave it in for a little bit longer while I talk to you and tell you about it, right? Now, why do we boil it? Can you tell me why we boil it by any chance? Just take a wild guess. Why do you think we would boil this?
I want to see maybe what happens during photosynthesis.
Yes, we want to do that, but we need to actually have a look at. We need to look what's happening inside.
Okay.
And if I have a look what's happening inside, I need to break down the outer wall. Okay? And the outer wall's got the cellulose around it. Can you remember when we do cells, we've got that cell wall, right? Now that cell wall needs to be broken down. I want to get into the inside of the cell. So I need to break this thing down quite nicely. Okay, if I break this down nicely, then I can get through to the leaf itself. Now, how am I going to have a look at this leaf? I need to look at this leaf very closely and very carefully. You can see the water's going green. Okay, so let's try it. Okay, let us try it. Okay, so let's turn this thing off. If I remember how to turn it the right way. Okay, so there we go. We're stopping it. Okay, we're all happy? We're stopping it. Now, I'm going to remove this so it comes to the other side. Remember, this will be hot now, so you keep away from it. Okay, move that away. Okay, and I'm going to leave it up here for a few minutes. Okay, now, I'm going to grab this leaf out. There we go. There's the one. It's nice and hot. Okay, and it is quite flimsy. Look at this now. Okay, it's quite flimsy. It can be moved. Have you noticed I've got this thing on it? Did you even notice that? Now, let's look at the original one and look at the thing I've got on here. There's an L for Lou. Huh? Take that. How cool is that? I put my name on it. Now, I did this. I put this L on yesterday at about it was about 9 o'clock. Right. So what I did was I covered this part to see what would happen if that piece did not get any photosynthesis, if it did not photosynthesize, if it did not get sunlight. Right. That's why I did that. Okay? And I chose this one. Let's have a good look at it. Because remember, we spoke about different color leaves. And we saw the different colors. And would green photosynthesize? Will no green photosynthesize? We want to have a look at that. Okay, so I've just taken them out the water. Okay, and I've put them there. Let's go to the board. Now, have a good look. The next step is I need to put these leaves inside this test tube, right? Inside the test tube in methylated spirits. Now, can you see it's still inside this beaker that we heated up? Can you see it? Now, why would I not go put the methylated spirits over the flame? Can you tell me? What do you think would happen if I put methylated spirits over the flame? What do you think?
I think it will just explode this whole
Nah,
thing.
it was close. If I cover it, maybe. But
Yes.
that's exactly what happens. Remember I said to you guys, we have a Bunsen burner, right? And we have a spirit burner. What did we put inside the spirits? We put methylated spirits. Now, as soon as I put a light or lit the top of it, what happened? There was a flame. So if I put methylated spirits close to an open flame, what's going to happen? It's going to catch a light. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I think it's time for a quick break. Okay, I'm going to carry on going, make sure everything gets boiled nicely, and I will see you soon. So
Okay, guys, this is one energetic show and one exciting show with Lou. Tell your friends out there that we're doing practicals. And guys, please ask all those questions that you have on our Facebook page. It's facebook.com/live, or simply go to our website, which is landextra.co.za/live. Oh, remember, sorry, I made a mistake. It's facebook.com/landextra. And our website is landextra.co.za/live. But for now, let's take this quick break. Okay, guys, I hope you're enjoying the show, and I hope you've been waiting for us anxiously. Now we're continuing with our practicals with Lou. I'm enjoying the show quite nice. Guys, this is one exciting show, guys, not to be missed. Tell your teachers what you were doing yesterday, and they will show, and tell most of your friends to watch the show. Now let's continue with Lou.
Hello, hello. So, we're back. I just put it on to boil to keep it nice and warm. Now, what I'm going to do, okay, is I'm going to slow this down. Okay, I'm going to slow it down almost to nothing, just so we can keep the heat going. Come on, switch off. You don't want to switch off. It's fine. Let it go. It's looking good. There we go. Okay, so now that it's switched off, this stuff is very, very important. Now, remember that this has a less of a boiling point. In other words, if I had to put this and water next to each other and boil them, this one would boil faster. Okay, so I'm going to put that down there. I'm going to grab this leaf over here, and I'm going to put it in methylated spirits. Remember, there's 2 leaves, okay? So let me put it in, twist it and fold it, and try and get it nicely and stick it in, because that's what we need. Stick it in, stick it in, stick it in. Let's go, let's go. Rise. You see it's rising, huh? See it's rising. All the way, all the way. Okay, my fingers are not that long. Right, and I'm going to take this one as well, and I'm going to stick it in. And let's see. There we go. Push it in there. Come, you can do it. There we go. You see I've pushed it all the way in nice and low. Okay? Now, the key thing about this, trust me on this, okay? I need to heat this up. Okay? This alcohol actually gets rid of the chloroplast. Okay? We need to get rid of that green stuff so we can actually see what's going on. So, this is not the right thing to use. This one is. But this is nice and big. So what I've done is I've got one of these nice little holders. Okay? Normally goes on a retort stand. I thought that would be nice. I'm not going to crush it. Nice and gentle. Okay? A little bit tighter. Okay? And I'm going to put it inside. Okay? And I'm going to let it go. And I'm going to leave it there. Let's see. Can you see that it's going to... See how the bubbles are already coming? I don't know if you can see it. But have a look how the bubbles are already coming. Okay? See how the alcohol is getting so hot already? Can you see that? Hopefully you can. Okay? Just hold it there nicely so that you can see how the alcohol is actually already starting to bubble because it has a lower boiling point. In other words, it's going to boil a lot faster. Okay? So we need to let it boil to get rid of all that chlorophyll. Right. So all the chlorophyll. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it boil there for a few minutes. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Okay, and we're going to go back. Right, so while we're back here, okay, it's very easy. I've boiled it, okay? I don't put it on an open flame. I leave the flames alone. We don't need it. That's why we've got hot water, right? So we boil it in there. Then we take these leaves out. And I want you to remember, I want you to look at it very carefully, okay? When we take these leaves out, you're going to notice something very, very, very important, okay? The methylated spirits is going to change color to green. And the leaves that are going to come out are not going to be as green. Maybe slightly green, but it's going to be a milky color. Okay? Then we need to get rid of all this alcohol that's left behind. So we're going to dip it in the water again. Yeah? In the beaker of water, as soon as I get a nice pink color, in the beaker of water. Okay? And once, rinse off all that stuff. Okay? And then we're going to put it down, and then we're going to do the test. Okay? So that is it. This is the starch test. This you use to test whether the whole thing has gone through photosynthesis. It doesn't matter what the experiment is. If they ask you to see if it goes through dark leaves or light leaves, or if you cover a leaf, or if you put it inside a dark room, or whatever, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of that whole experiment, to be able to test whether photosynthesis took place, this is the key one. Okay, it's very, 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 very important. Right, okay, so let's go back. Now you can see it. Have a look. Look how the stuff is boiling like it's its job. Right? Look at that. Let's see. Look at that. It's boiling so well, and I haven't used this much fire. Okay? Boils very quickly. It's very important to remember that. And if this boils, have a good look. If I lift it, look how green it's gone already. Okay, I'll take a methylated spirits. Remember, it's nice and purple, right? And this stuff is all of a sudden gone nice and green. Can you see? I don't want to lift it too high. Let's keep this thing boiling. Okay, so it's very important to get this off. Remember, we need to see what is going on in there. Okay, so let's see. Hopefully, I've left it long enough. There's other ones I want to do as well. So I'm going to remove it. There we go. I'm going to move it to over here. Remember, this is not the real place where you put it. You normally put this. Okay, you normally put it in a stand, okay, because that stand holds them nicely. but I've got to make sure that you see, so I wanted it in a open thing so you can actually see what's going on. Okay, so now we don't want to burn our fingers. Now you've seen the alcohol was going in, and I can smell my fingers are full of alcohol through this mess. So it stinks, right? So let's see if I can get it out, and it's going to take too long, so I'm going to cheat again, as always, right? And I'm going to pour it out. Okay, come on, you can do it. Come, that's it. You're doing it. It's very hot, trust me. And it's coming, there we go. I've got this leaf out. Now, from here, I'm going to put it straight into the water, okay? So you can see what I'm doing. It's nice and hard. Putting it in the water. There we go, it's in the water. While that is getting rid of all the other rubbish, have a look how green that is, hey? It's a green, and whoo, come over here and have a smell of this. It's ridiculous. Just have a good whiff of that. We can get unbelievably drunk just with this.
Yes,
hey?
yes.
And it's green. All the chlorophyll is gone. All the chlorophyll is gone. So I'm going to remove this so we can actually see what's going on. We're going to dip it, and we're going to rinse it, and we're going to go as much as possible. Let's see if we can get this right. I don't know how much chlorophyll has been left, but we can go, come, dip, undo it. Okay, let's have a look. Let's see the difference in the green afterwards. It could have gone a little bit longer in that alcohol, but let's open it up. Okay, I'm going to remove this part so that you can see the al's gone. Now, it's still green. I could have left it a little bit longer, but look at the difference. Okay, it's completely different. This is much darker than this one. Right, so I'm going to put that down there. Okay, I'm going to push it out. I need to get this one out. This is a very nice one, hopefully. There we go. Also nice and see-through, right? You can still see a little green. There it is. Okay, now, let's have a look. I'm going to spread them out here. If you can come nice and close, you can actually see what's going on. It'll be 10 times better. Let me remove this so that it's out of the way. Up, and get a bit of strength, right? Be careful when you move this. This is very hot. Okay, I'm going to move that out the way so that we can see, and the weight because we need some muscles, right? And we're left with this. So, let's see. Dropper, iodine, okay? Now, iodine stains, so be careful with it. Now, it stains quite a bit, so if you have a look at my hand looks like now, right? So, it does stain your hand. If it stains your hand, it's not going to come off very easily. Okay, so now I need to have a look. If I spray it on here, I'm sure we can get a tissue just now. I almost took water instead of iodine, right? That's not good. And you will see the difference. Hopefully, I've boiled it for long enough because I want to do all these experiments as quick as possible so you can actually see what is going on. Right, so let's get it going. And I'm not scared of iodine. And if my wife doesn't like it, it doesn't matter. So make sure she sees it. Let's see, all over the place. And this one could have gone a little bit more. But this one, look at this. Look at the blue-black color. Can you see? The outside, if you look at it carefully, the outside, there's no blue-black color. The inside, where it was green, can you remember the green one? Okay, the inside has gone black. The outside has not gone black. So the question is, if it is black, it means photosynthesis took place, right? If it is not black, if it's normal, I mean, do I have starch in my body? Hey, no. Look what my hands look like. Okay, nice and simple. My hands are not stained. Well, they're stained, but they're not blue-black. This is blue-black, which means there is starch present. Okay, very important experiment. Okay, so that is our experiment. Now, let's go back to the board while my hands are nice and orange. Okay, that is a whole experiment, and it's very, very important. Right, so let's go to the next one. The equipment to the next practice. Okay, if we have a look at it, you don't have access to a lab. That is my most important thing. My friends always tell me, but we can't get to a lab. Okay, now, you need to improvise. Do you know what improvise is? Improvise is make a plan, right? You guys are like, in my days, hopefully, my dad's days, I used to watch it with him. MacGyver. Now, MacGyver made a plan for everything. If he needed to get water, he needed a bowl, he'd make a plan. Right, so let's see. For a bowl, what can we use? We need to boil the leaf on a stove or on the fire. What could you use? A pot. What about a tin? You can use a tin as well. A tin, you can boil the water quite nicely, right? There is some things that we cannot substitute, for example, methylated spirits. Methylated spirits isn't that expensive from a chemist, right? So you can still get that. Okay, so we're having a look at the experiment. There's small things like a small pot of water. Okay, cool. A small pot of water does wonders. Okay, it can do everything you need. You can put it on the stove or the fire. Okay, there it is. Stove, a gas stove, the fire, wherever you need to, you just need that heat. Right, okay, cool. So we've got that, some methylated spirits, which, here, look at this. I'm going to put this in green. Okay, yeah, keep away from flames. Always. Because I promise you, you are going to become funny and you're going to try things. And it's going to burn your hands. Don't. Keep it away from a flame. Very, very important. Right. Okay? And then you need a fork or something or a tweezers to take it out because we don't want to burn our hands. You saw I took it out of most of the things. I took it out with something else. Yes, I can touch the sticker after a while because I made sure that there was space for it. Okay? And then you need white paper or white paper that you cover with plastic so that you can see what's happening. Okay? And then lastly, you're going to get iodine, which you can get from the pharmacy, and a dropper you can get from a pharmacy. It's quite easy and it's not that expensive. Okay? You don't need a dropper. You can maybe tip it and pour it very slightly. Okay? There's always a way. If you want to learn, there's always a way. Don't ever come and say, but we cannot do it. You can. There's always a way. Right, okay, now, next experiment that we're having a look at, the practical, okay, it's exactly the same, okay, I did the prac for you. Can you remember I put that L on the leaf? Okay, now what actually happens is, what I didn't do, I put that on a tree, okay, because I don't have a dark cupboard, okay, so I tried it, okay, you need to keep it in a dark cupboard, the whole plant in a dark cupboard for 48 hours so that it can stop photosynthesizing, right? Okay? Then you need about an hour, you need the 45 hours. You need some foil, scissors, and a material. Now, you will know that with this thing, you need two experiments. Okay? You need the one that's on the tree, and you need the one that has been in the cupboard for 24 hours. Okay? When it's in the cupboard for 24 hours, okay, let me just move this all the way down. This is the method we're going to use. Cut the shape into whatever strip of tinfoil you would like, right? And then you're going to stick it onto a leaf. You're going to wrap the tin around a leaf. And nice, anything that you want, right? A shape, a star, a heart, whatever you want, okay? Put it on there, right? And leave it. This is how I did mine. You can see it. But I did it the opposite way. This person has foil here and left it open where the L is. I closed the L and left the rest open. Okay, so that is the next experiment. Once you've done this, this experiment tells you, does light help with photosynthesis? Now just think about it. If I've covered this part, right? If I've covered this part, would the part that I've just colored in make starch? If it doesn't make starch, it means that light couldn't go through and it can't go through photosynthesis. But everywhere where it's not covered and it goes through photosynthesis, it will make starch. What do we end off the test with? Starch test. Always a starch test. And you do the same. You cover a whole leaf, and then you don't cover a whole leaf. The one that you don't cover the whole leaf is very, very, very important. Okay, it is the control. Okay, then I want to go to the next one. The practical 2 is very nice. The practical 2 is what I actually did for you. It's exactly the same. Look at that. It's that leaf. I did it right for you in front of your eyes. Okay, that is very simple. You take the different colored leaf, right? You boil it in the starch test, and you will find out that, if I can pull this down, look at that. Blue-black color. Can you see it? Blue-black color, same as that one. And on the outside, what was very light green, there's almost nothing. Can you see it? Okay, very important to make sure that all of this goes together. Okay, very nice. This is a lovely experiment. Okay, what I think we need to do. Okay, we need to go to a break because I have got another experiment to do that must happen quickly, and I've got some questions to show you guys. Okay, very important questions. Or even if I don't get to the questions, I need to show you in which order or how to answer questions. Right, so, let me go for a break.
Okay, guys, this is one of the exciting shows that I've ever been in. I hope you're also enjoying the practicals, and I am watching the Facebook page, and it's so exciting. I thank you for helping each other out. I thank you, Tebogo Nkululeko. I'm watching you. Keep those questions coming. But for now, guys, let's go for an ad break. And we are back, guys. If you just joined us, where have you been? You've missed quite a bit of practicals that we have been doing with Lou. But guys, one thing to remember, we have a competition called the Future Stars competition. Please enter the competition and get your friends to vote for you, and you can win awesome prizes. But now, with no waste of time, let's go back to Lou with these practicals. Lou.
Cool. We have a nice one. Now, the next one, I'm going to cheat because I did it mostly at home, but I'm going to show you how to do it here in the studio, and then I'm going to show you the test. The test is quite nice. It's going to be a little bit of not a bang, but something nice. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, right? And then we're going to do questions. So let's start with the experiment. First of all, practical 4. This is the prescribed one. This is a very important one. So let's have a look at it. Practical 4, we need to test whether a plant gives off oxygen, a byproduct of photosynthesis. In other words, as somebody was asking, the plant takes in carbon dioxide, makes its food, and the byproduct is oxygen and energy, or glucose, right? The oxygen, it just gives off in the air, just lets it go. That's the byproduct. It's something that it gives off from making something, right? So that's the byproduct. Let's see, what do we need to do this experiment? First of all, right, we need 2 beakers. There's 2 beakers, okay? I'm using one. We need 2 beakers. Then you need water, which we can get from a dam, wherever, doesn't matter. We need 2 funnels, filter funnels. Okay? If you don't have a filter funnel, you can use a Coke bottle, for instance. Right? There's always a way. Next one, you need 2 test tubes, something to keep it in, right? Then you need a glowing splint. Okay? What I've done is I've taken 2 sticks. Can you remember? So you can just take a stick off a tree, right? And let me bring this down so we can have a look at it. Okay, we need pondweed, right? Pondweed. It's very nice. It's a nice little thing. You'll see that it actually gives off bubbles, but it takes a while. And remember, the more light you give a pondweed, the more oxygen it produces, because the more light you have, the more oxygen is produced, or the more photosynthesis happens. Right, so we need that. We need a wooden splint, as we said, and matches. I have a lighter. Right, so let's see what we're going to do. This is the whole method. This is going to be up for you. I'm going to give the method as we're going along because it's nice and easy, and I can do it step by step with you, right? And this is what it's going to look like. There it is. Okay, now you will notice there's 2. This one, look very carefully at the bottom. This one does not have anything inside it. It does not have pondweed in it. This one does. Okay, so it has its pondweed in it. Now, we have a glass of water, nice and full. We have a test tube that is full of water. Now, what's going to happen is, as this pondweed is actually giving off oxygen, oxygen is going to funnel all the way up, and it's going to go to the top because it's not as dense as water. It's going to go right to the top. Water is going to go underneath it, and water is going to come pop out here and keep filling this part up so that the water gets displaced by the oxygen. And then at the end, we need to test if that's oxygen. That is the cool part. Right, so let's go have a look. Right, so here we go. I had to clean up this place. You won't believe the iodine that was all over the place. So here I have a funnel, right? I have some water for a reason, okay? I've got a test tube. I've got a beaker. I'm going to turn it there for you. And I've got some pondweed. Right, so here we go. I'm going to put the pondweed in, right? I'm going to put the funnel over it, and I'm going to push it down. This is a plastic funnel, so it wants to keep rising for some reason. Okay, so the nice part about this, or the most important part about this, is we can't get any water, air inside. So I'm going to fill the test tube with water, one of the most important parts, right? Fill it all the way. Don't worry about the running over. You put your thumb over it. See, I've got my thumb over it. Once your thumb's over it, you turn it upside down. Okay? You put it in the water with your thumb. Once it's in the water with your thumb, you can let your thumb go. It's not going to move anywhere. Now, I'll put it on top of, hopefully I'll get it right. I need more water in this beaker so that we don't get any oxygen in. Push it down, move it over, and there we go. Look how nice it was. And if you take a nice close look, right, there is no air bubbles inside here. That's the most important thing. No air bubbles inside here, because the only air bubbles that are left is the one we want to test. Okay, now what actually happens is the more light or sunlight that this thing gets, okay, the more that thing starts producing. Now, if you have a look very closely, and I turn this, look on the leaves, if you can go nice and close, you will already see oxygen bubbles. Can you see it? Okay, there is oxygen bubbles on top of this, which means it's already starting to produce oxygen. Right. But watch how quick this is. This is cool. This is the coolest thing in the world. I'm going to try and pour some of this water out so that it doesn't spill. Okay, let's pour. Okay, I've poured the water out so it doesn't spill. And I'm going to put this underneath here so it's out of the way. And watch how quick it is. I've got lights under here for Africa. Right, so I'm going to put this one underneath. Right, there we go. And just wait for 2 seconds so that it can do its job. And here we go, it's done its job. I told you I cheated. Hey, look at this. Look at it carefully. Look at all the oxygen at the top. And look at the bottom. You can see the little oxygen bubbles. Okay? There's oxygen in here. That's what we think. We think there's oxygen in there. And look, there's water. And if I move this up slightly, okay, I don't want to move it up all the way, but you see how the water in there, and you see how all the air bubbles are coming up. Can you see it? The oxygen bubbles. Okay? That is filling that up so that we have oxygen. And the water is there so that the oxygen doesn't escape. Right, so now comes the most important part. Okay? We need to somehow test this. Now, to test this is quite cool. What happens is that we take a glowing splint. Now, a glowing splint means that it's not on fire. It's just like, I'll use that one. It's just like this. Let's see. See how I'm getting it nice and hot? Hopefully you can see it. Okay, you see that red? That's a glowing splint. You see it? That is the glowing splint. That is what we're looking for. Right? And of course, this is water, so I can just kill it so that we don't burn the place down. Right. Now, I'm going to call you up here to come and help me.
Yes.
This is the most important part. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand here. You need to stand over there.
Over here.
And I'm going to demonstrate how he needs to take this out, because you cannot mess with this. You cannot lose it.
Yes.
Because, think about it carefully. This has taken me 2 days to do. And the minute we lose that oxygen, it's gone. The experiment is gone. And this happens very quickly. When I do it, you need to keep watching, because it does it very, very fast. So let's watch. What I want you to do,
yes,
is I want you to stick, I'm just going to do that and move that. Okay, I'm going to remove that. Put that underneath for me, please.
Perfect.
And take that and put that there for me. Okay, as you can see, the water is still there. The air is still in there and the water is still in there. Now, I want you to put your hand inside the bucket. That's it.
Yes.
And I'm going to put this, you put your finger over the hole, plug it. That's it. You got it. You plugged it. Nice and tight. He's got it. Okay,
Yes.
you see the water still in there. Now, what we need to do, I'm going to come stand around here by you again. Okay, let me just see how we get. Yes, you need to be this side. Okay. Now, you see how it is? Okay, I want you to twist it. Twist it. Don't move. That's it. 1, 2, 3. Twist. There we go. There's it.
There we go.
Okay, so now, if I move your hand, no, stay here.
Yes.
Don't move. Stay at the
you.
side.
Okay.
And I'm going to push you there so we can all see. Okay, have you got it? Nice
Yes.
and tight. Okay, hold the bottom for me.
Yeah.
And it's nice and tight. There we go. So let me get a glowing splint going, and we can see. Now, remember, we've moved the oxygen that was at the bottom here all the way to the top. I'm sticking his finger in there because we don't want to lose the oxygen. So let's have a look. Let's get this thing lit. wait, before we do that, let's make some space. We need to see it. Now, can you hold this a little bit more down for me so that it's there? That's it. Now, it's going to stink.
Yes.
Get used to it. Okay, and we need to get this glowing splint glowing. I want it to glow nicely because we have one chance and one chance only. Okay, so we all see it? Okay. There we go, there we go. Watch your glowing splint. Move your finger. See how much more red it goes. Look at that.
Wow, wow.
It's not as
Yes.
the one I wanted, not as expensive, or as wonderful. But this thing normally shoots out. Okay, now I can make oxygen much easier.
Thank you.
Man. There is an easier way to make oxygen, and I'm trying to think if I can show you a better way. But the whole point of this experiment was to show you that oxygen gets made during photosynthesis, right? It didn't work as well, but mostly, you never know. Oxygen could have escaped to the bottom. So if it didn't work the first time, try it again. Okay, it is very important. That oxygen has been there for a long time, so it could have been escaping from this morning already. But hopefully, you're going to get it right when you try it. But that normally gets nice and, it goes bright, bright, bright colors. Okay, we will try it again one day, I do promise. We'll make a plan next time. Okay, so we've done all the experiments that we can do. Now, of course, it always comes down to the tests. Okay, so let's have a look at what I can do for you to do some tests. Okay, so we've done this experiment. We've done the practicals, okay, and that's just telling you exactly and the results. This is the most important thing that we've got. When we're looking at practicals, when they're asking you for tests, they're going to ask you specific things. For example, investigation question. What is it? Okay, the investigation question, okay, this is it's a question that they're asked to ask you, why are we doing this? Right, that is the question. Next thing, hypothesis. Okay, hypothesis, it's the answer you expect from the investigation. So plants make oxygen. So if I did that, what is the hypothesis? That plants make oxygen. The byproduct of photosynthesis is oxygen. It's not, I wonder if it is. You are telling them that's it, right? And then you have a look at the next one, the method and the material. We all know, I told you, the method, you do this, you do that, you do that. Don't forget the materials. You need to say, we're using a beaker, we're using a Bunsen burner, we're using a glowing splint, we're using a funnel, okay? Very important. Next thing, you get your variables, your independent variable and your dependent variable. Now, the fact you are changing, okay, when you change something, it is your independent variable. In other words, if I'm adding more light and taking light away, okay, that is your independent variable, okay? The dependent variable depends on what you are doing. So, in other words, photosynthesis, if I had a look at this, if I had to make a chart, let's say, it's got to be green, that's fine, and I do that. And I want to say photosynthesis, we want to find out if photosynthesis increases or decreases according to how much light there is. Think about it. How much light there is. What am I going to change? Am I going to change the photosynthesis or am I changing the light? I'm changing the light. Okay? So we're going to put light at the bottom and we're going to put photosynthesis, I'm just going to put pH, photosynthesis on the top. The independent at the bottom, the dependent on the side. This one depends on that. The more light there is, the more photosynthesis there is. Do you understand? That's how it works. Okay? And the control is very important. It proves that you didn't mess around with it. Okay? So you've got the one where nothing's going to happen, or you know what's going to happen, and then you've got the other one where nothing's going to happen, or one everything's going to happen. Okay? This one, the results, you always have to record your results. Very important. If you record your results, everything's there. Now, and lastly, you need to draw. Don't forget your drawings. Okay? Drawings makes things so much easier and it makes so much better. Okay? Relax. Enjoy your experiments. Go mad. The more experiments you do, the better for yourself. The more you can enjoy it, right? Get into there. Plants, some people say, is boring. How can it be boring if you test things? Go look at things. Go and enjoy things. That's what life science is about. Right. The more you go and experiment, the more you look at things, the more you cut things open and look inside, the better it is for you. Right. So hopefully you've enjoyed this lesson today, right? So I will see you soon, and it's over to you.
Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did. And we thank you, Lou, for the best practicals that we can ever ask for. And one thing, guys, we have to thank Macmillan for sponsoring the show. You can get this book at any bookshop that you can that is next to you. And guys, from us, we say it's a wrap. See you next week, same time, same place, different topic. And we say adios, guys. See you next time.